Right then. Okay, so like I say, um we're gonna cover animation and Canva again. So I think we've all got a Canva account. So just spend a few seconds just kind of logging into your Canva. And let me just get it onto the next slide. So as usually, as we usually go through these sessions, obviously we go through the course intent, and it's important to understand what we're expected to learn. So um, today it's about the process and techniques to produce, store, and represent graphic animation. Okay, so just a bit more kind of information on creating graphics, working with graphics, be able to develop graphics and animation in line with guidelines and requirements, be able to document graphics and animation processes, and be able to review the quality of digital graphics and animation against requirements. And finally, be able to use Canva to create animation and GIFs. Okay, right. So just remind you of our ground rules. Just keep yourself on mute unless you have something to say. If you do have a question or you want to say something, use um, the little hand, which is in your reactions. So you can put your hand up. Also, if you have any mobile phones on you, just put it on silent so that doesn't ring. And finally, keep the chat just about the session. Okay. Any queries, anything that we can help you about like logbooks and session logs or um, presentations, things like that, you can talk to me after the session. I will share, however, the slide deck at the end of the session, but do remind me. Okay. So, Canva recap. If we just think back to the last time we used Canva, we saw that it can be used for graphics, it can be used for video creation, animation, all sorts of stuff, right? So we're going to revisit the same platform. The platform is largely free to use, as you know. However, there are some elements, design components that are part of their premium service. And if you do feel that, okay, I'm going to use Canva a lot in my business, then obviously there's that option, but you have to make that decision if you want to pay for that subscription, if you think it's worth it. Canva for animation. So Canva allows you to animate, create animations, animation videos. It's got lots of templates, and you can use their video editing tool. You can actually go directly to the video editor using that link that's on the screen. But they also have GIF Creator, which is quite cool to create small animations and moving images, and that GIFs can be used on social media, memes, things like that. Meme creators, there are some websites that create memes, allow you to create memes, but GIFs are something that you could use on WhatsApp. It's something that you could use on a messenger, and it's just that kind of breakaway from the conversation. You can have a GIF. You can create your own GIFs for your company as well that you kind of share and use. So it has a GIF creator as well, and that's within the editor as well. So if I just share that link into the chat for you, just put it in the chat. Yeah, we have, Lisa. We've touched on Canva multiple times in different sessions. Basically, each time we revisit, we're revisiting for a different reason. Because Canva's got your animations, it's got your video editing, it's got templates for doing a number of things. Like you could be creating content for social media with video, audio, text. And we're visiting Canva again and again, but each time we go, we're going for a different reason. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so I've given you the link to the video editor. And it's also good for a recap on how to use it. I mean, you should feel more comfortable using it every time you visit. So if we go to Canva, keep that open at the same time, and I will go back to the presentation for now. Okay, so why animations are useful. So basically, it's it's a breakaway media that you can use when you're kind of you've got a lot of text, or you're basically trying to engage your audience with something different. So animation is always good to kind of use. It can be used to improve your video content. So you can have like an explainer video, but you've included some animation. It can be used to create bespoke branding content, such as an animated logo or a mascot. You could make the opening or closing frame of your content stand out. So at the beginning of your video, you could add a logo, but it's animated. Okay, so your logo is animated, and at the end, you could do the same. Okay, I've seen many videos like that. I've done a couple of videos like that myself, and looks really cool. For example, if you're using YouTube, you've got a YouTube channel and you're branding it, at the start of every video, you could have an animated logo, and then it goes into the content. So it makes it look professional. It's every single video is branded. It just you're putting your ownership on it. But it's just a nice way kind of to start the almost like a show, and you're starting the video before you start it. Your logo kind of animates and does things. There's various softwares you can use to create an animated logo. I think there's one called Videos that I've used a couple of times. But obviously, a lot of these software applications they give you some free content and free features that you can use. But then it's about making a payment and getting access to more features. So people are visually led and find it easier to engage with content that it has an image or a video to enhance the text. So creating an animated GIF can also be useful in its own right as a way of adding movement to your online content. So what do you need in order to create your animated GIF? You might need to create elements first. Okay, so for example, images, stylized wording, etc. These should be all created using a transparent background so that they can be added and adjusted to your content. You also need to know what colors you're going to use. Okay, so your hex codes. Um, Again, it's about your brand, your content. It may have a certain color that you're using all the time. So you may need that for your gifts as well. Snippets of existing videos, etc. Ideas and goals before creating any animation, take a moment to consider their intended use. The content you produce should have a clear purpose. What is the purpose of your animation? What does it serve? What platforms will it be shared on? How will it be supporting your marketing message, etc.? Does it communicate a clear message or call to action? Ensure that whatever you create provides value and contributes positively. I'll try to show you some that I've created in the past, some animations and videos and stuff, to give you an example as well. So types of animation, when you begin creating your GIFs, there are several different styles, formats you may want to explore. It could be a cartoon style animation, it could be a video capture clips, image-based sequences, typography, or text-led animations. Experimenting with these formats will help you determine which style best supports your message and suits your brand. You have to make sure these files are really small as well, so they can be shared without, or otherwise you'll have like a spinning wheel on them while they're trying to load. And by the time it's loaded, like you've lost the opportunity of, or the reason why you wanted to give that in the first place, you've kind of lost that because it's short term. Like you could be in a conversation with somebody and you want to put a GIF in just to kind of show your emotion at that time. Now, if that's loading, your emotions have already changed. You've gone on to some other topic. Obviously, there's no point, right? Plus, people scroll, so it's already gone. So the file needs to be small. Design to make the most effective use of your time. Begin with a brainstorming session. to clarify your ideas. Now, I personally, even though in this session we're talking about gifts, I personally think, like in my, in my experience, I haven't really used gifts a lot. Okay. The only time I would have used a GIF would be in a conversation on a chat room, say Telegram or WhatsApp. Okay. I personally haven't used GIFs. I don't know your experience, but GIFs have its sort of place. Like on social media, it can look a bit pixelated, but that's their nature. It's not supposed to be like high quality, high resolution images. It has a kind of grainy, nostalgic feeling. Plus, you can refer to nostalgic scenes from Friends or from SpongeBob or things that people recognize, right? So, if you want to customize that and put the message in your message, you can. And it's kind of about meme culture, right? But at the same time, your GIF doesn't have to be a standalone gift for like for meme culture. A GIF could be an element that you're creating to use again and again. So your logo could be created as a GIF, animated. So every time you're kind of in a chat or something and you want to kind of put a logo in, your logo in just to kind of brand, remind people of your brand or something like that, you may find some purpose, okay? But GIFs, they have their place. Okay, so it's like emojis, they have their place. You don't want to be using GIFs on professional emails, for example, unless you've created it in that way where it's an animated logo and it looks professional. So you just have to be aware of that. So to design the most effective use of your time, to make the most effective use of your time, begin with a brainstorming session. And yes, I would say do brainstorm, but again, you might be one who just starts being creative, just puts pen to paper and things start flowing. Okay. So you might not be a person to kind of plan first, but for a lot of people, what you don't want to be doing is wasting time basically. So you should have it clear in your mind that, okay, I'm creating something for this reason, because obviously there's so much that you could be getting on with when it comes to social media marketing and everything else. You don't be spending like hours on a design of an animation and then realize that you're not even going to use it, right? So and your animation needs to be aligned with your branding style and everything. So you need to think about a few things there before you start. So elements, okay, we'll look at the elements in Canva. So Canva has a large database of elements, and these you'll see are basically stickers, images, avatars that you can create. You can create your own. There's different types of things that you can do within Canva, and we'll have a look at that. You can even create your own company logo within Canva, and we looked at that before. So layers is something I explained previously, and this is in this session now. So basically, layers, hopefully you understand layers, okay, because we looked at it when we were editing video. So layers in Canva determine the order in which elements appear on your design, similar to stacking items on top of each other. Every element you add, text, images, shapes, stickers, videos, sits on its own layer. So it's like one layer on top of it, just like that image there. It's basically you're putting the mediums on top of each other, and that's how most editing software basically work on a timeline. You can move elements forward or backward to control which one appears in front and which one appears behind. This helps organize your design, overlap items neatly, and create more professional looking layout. So I don't know if you remember with the Christmas hat on the Y, we basically put it behind the Y and put it in front of the Y, so that it looks like it's on top of the letter. Creating a GIF tutor demo. Okay, so we're gonna go into Canva now. Now that slide doesn't have the direct link to the GIF creator, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type in Google Canva GIF creator. So, or gift maker. So usually different parts of Canva do come up if you type it into Google. If you can't find it on Canva, like that function or that feature, if you type it into Google, usually you get a direct link. So we're going to click on that and I'm going to copy that. So it's basically canva.com/create/gift maker. I'm going to put that into the chat for you. Chat. Okay, here we are. Right. Okay. So again, just let me remind you about the chat feature. Just keep like if you've got any concerns, any issues, any problems, if you're not happy with something, you can talk to me directly after the session, or you can talk to your success coach. Okay. But let's not create negativity in the chat, please. Right. Okay. So here is the gift creator. I've put the link in the chat. So when you click on that link, you should appear here. All right. So I'm going to click on make a free GIF. And just have to wait a few seconds for it to pop up. Yeah. So basically it's got like this kind of canvas, blank canvas. It's got my timeline. And then on the left hand side, it's got the templates. Okay, so we've had templates before for other things. So it looks like, oh, we're doing the same thing, but actually we're not because we're here to create a GIF now. Now, you've gone specifically in the GIF area, right? So these look very similar to other things, other templates that you've seen. But this is why you need to be very clear on why you're creating this in the first place. Because if you don't know why you're creating it, then like you don't know which one to choose. You might choose a random one and then create something that you're not going to use because it's not going with your branding guidelines, so it has no use, right? You may get carried away and spend hours on it as well. So you just need to be very clear on why you're creating your GIF in the first place. So if we basically it's an animation, right? It's an animated piece of content. So if you go through all these, you can see the little play button and the pause button. Basically, they're all animated. So they're not images. Well, they do have image elements, but it's an animated. So for example, if I had an event coming up and it was a tech event, this one looks good. So I would click on that and then I can see it's on my canvas and there's different parts of it and it's on the layers. So if I just close that section down, there, you can see here on the timeline what makes up the the animation, right? So if I play it, yeah, so that is the animation. And you can see at the bottom here, there's two of them. And the reason, actually, it isn't two, it's just been extended, right? So it's been kind of stretched. And you can stretch it by hovering over the edge here and just kind of left click down and just pull it. Actually, you can't. I lie. It's fixed at 10 seconds. It's not, doesn't, you can, okay, so you can go like this. The max is 10 seconds on that one. So what you can do is you can click on it, you can duplicate it, and that's how you would extend it, right? But the only reason you would do that is if you're gonna add something else that's gonna take a bit longer. Okay. Usually these need to be short, like 10 seconds, and then when it plays, it repeats itself. So it's like a loop. Okay, so you don't have to, because if you create like one that's 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, obviously the file's going to be bigger, right? So the file size is going to be large. And then when you post it in a chat or something else, it's going to take ages to load. So you don't want it to be too long. So you want to keep it short. So that's why a lot of these that you bring in will be about 10 seconds short. Okay, 10 seconds long. You can extend, but just be mindful of that. Also, this you can see there's a T on these layers. This is text, 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 text. Okay, so all of them are text. It's just when they start and when they finish. So this one starts from the get-go. This one comes in afterwards. This one comes in afterwards, and that one comes. But you can see they're all on layers. Grow your, then the business one will come because that's next, you can see. And then with us, and then the last one is this. So if it makes more sense to you, you can change them around, but you have to make sure that they don't like that animation there is sitting right at the back. Okay. So that this is basically right at the back, and everything else is stacked on top of it. So you've got this one, that one, that one. They're all stacked on top. So if I click on this, you can see where it is. Grow your. So I can click on that and edit it. Same with this one. If I want to change the website, I can click on that and change it. Um, and same with these as well. And it's literally this. We've covered this during the animation session on another session, and it's the same thing. Animation is animation, right? Whether you're creating it as a GIF or whether you're creating as a PNG, sorry, not a PNG, like a MP4, like a video. Where the difference is basically when you're sharing the file here and you're downloading it. So you click on download. MP4 video will obviously is suggesting it as a video, right? But that will be like a video to play it as a video, and you could put it into a post and so on. But even though it's suggesting this, you go down here and you select GIF. So basically, a GIF doesn't have any sound, and it's a short clip, and it's a file format. So when you click on GIF, it's going to give you a size. Okay. Now, if it's like this is like a quite large size, right? You want to keep the file size small. So you might want to go down. If it gets a bit pixelated, then you might want to go a bit higher. So, but test it out. Just make sure that you're not kind of going crazy pixels. So I would say something like this is pretty decent. Now, previously in the slide I've talked about transparent background, right? This does not need to have a transparent background. Elements or gifs that you're creating that you're going to impose on top of something else needs a transparent background. This is kind of a block. It doesn't need a transparent background. But if we were creating something that had an outline, like say if it was an apple, okay, and the apple didn't have any background, it was just the apple that we wanted as a GIF, then we would have the background transparent. Okay, so then the apple could just sit somewhere, could be animated, could have a face on it, but it has no background. But we'll look at something like that in a second. You can save the download settings so you don't have to keep on going and changing the settings every time. But the main thing to understand is where the difference is between what we did before and what we're doing now is simply how you download it. So you're downloading it as a GIF. And when you're downloading it as a GIF, it's the file format and it's the size of the file, and it's also about having no audio, being basically very simple as a file so that you can use it on platforms where you're doing a conversation and stuff like that without it taking ages to load. And it's that's the purpose of it, and we can basically see that. Right, so if we go back to the presentation for a second. So so I've just basically all I did was show you through a demo. But if I went to elements here, if I go back, let's see if I can go back to blank template. Now, if I go to elements here, you can see all these different things, right? So if you wanted to create your own GIF, you can use those elements to create your own GIF. Okay, so things like, for example, obviously audio you wouldn't add. Videos will be too like heavy. But you can still use video because once you compress it, once you create it into a GIF, it's gonna compress that file anyway. Okay, so videos are fine, but it's about the length of the video. Okay, so that's one thing. Also, photos, again, similar thing. You can use it, but you're talking about animation, so you can have the background as a photo. Okay, but your text could be animated. Stickers, if we look at stickers, these could work on a GIF because they're very kind of light, things like that. Okay, so again, it's about your brand and what it stands for. And for example, this kind of pattern, that kind of pattern could work as part of something, but I don't know because you can't really stretch it. You can't really do much with it other than have it like maybe in the corner somewhere like that. And then if it's not filling that part up, it looks a bit odd. So maybe if you bordered around it, so if you went here, put a border, put a stroke around it, that could mean something to your design. I don't know, but these animations are here. So I can see some that you may use, like on a beach, you could have a ball that's animated. So there could be um, parts of your GIF that's animated, and you brought it in by using elements. So there's magic recommendations. If you click see all, you see all of these, like flames and all this. Let's see. Okay, so for example, if we go to design and we've got all these styles, right? And then we go to something like if we put food, okay? So we'll find one like this. Okay, so we clicked on that. And now if we just start that from the beginning, okay, and just see what the animation is. It's taking a bit of time. Okay, so now it's playing. Is it doing anything? Can't see it do anything. Let me just play it again and see what the animation is about. Okay. I didn't see it do much, right? Um, I don't know why that is. Let me just play it again because there's so many layers on this. I don't know what's the purpose of this. I just did a little jerk, but just kind of did a little jump and I don't know what it's about. But now if I wanted to add some animation to it, I could go into the elements and put in the stickers. If I just get out the stickers here, I could put flame. Yeah, flame. And then there's all these flames, right? So I could go here, look at all these flames. These are graphics. So graphics are not going to be animated. So I can take that away and go down and see if there's any stickers, right? Let's see, just type that in again. Let it come up. Flame. So, okay, so the stickers aren't isn't coming up. So if I just take that out again, and then I could go to stickers and then see if I can find any flames. The only thing is like there's no search once you're in there. Okay, let's see. Graphics. I don't know if I type in animated flame if anything will come. Let's see. Okay, so we've got some animated ones here. Not a lot, but there's one here. There's one here. I'm just looking for a more realistic one. Okay. Yeah, they're not really that good. Um, Probably the best one is the one on top. This one, maybe. So you can have like something like this and then kind of put it down there to the bottom. Then maybe bring it up like this. Okay. So something like that you could use. Okay. So that is now animated. Okay. And obviously you can change all that. You can change all this, but this is sitting on top, so you would have to remove that. Remember, this is a layer and it's sitting on top, so you'd have to and do any editing to the text and stuff first, and then or you could put that on the background, so you could right click, change the layer, put it all the way to the back, and then you can see some of the text is in front of. Can you see like some? If I increase the size, just go down a bit. You can see the text is in front of the flames, so that does help kind of make you look like make you look a bit more kind of professional. But I don't like the flames. Obviously, the flames are a bit kind of, but that's how GIFs are. Okay, so GIFs aren't supposed to be perfect. It's just animated images. But obviously, if you wanted to change the text and stuff, you'd do that first before you put it on the top layer. But if you're putting it in the back layer, it still looks good with having some of the text at the front, as long as people can read it. So if I wanted to now download this as a GIF, okay, just go GIF, short, make it the size half of that, and download, right? Wait for the download to take place. It's down here. So you have to wait for that to kind of complete. So it takes a bit of time. And then you can use that on social media and things, and it's going to be an animated version. It does take a bit of time to kind of download. But yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't use a lot of GIFs. There's a time and place for it. I mean, on WhatsApp, maybe, on Telegram, maybe, in chat rooms, maybe, but on social media, unless you find really good graphics to use, I wouldn't bother. And that's why these templates are pretty good, because the templates sometimes have really good elements. So that's downloaded now. If I just go to open the file, so it's telling me what to open with. Let's see. Let's just see if it can open with photos. Okay, so that's now downloaded, and you can see that the animation is still there. So it's downloaded as a GIF file. And if you look at the size of the file, say if we see properties, can we see properties, your file info? Okay, it's still quite large. It's about 5 MB. It's not that big, but for a GIF, it's still quite big. So you can reduce it further. But then it depends on what you want to do with it. I mean, it's not pixelated or anything. And I think 5 MB nowadays, it's quite fast to download. So if I go into Zoom in the chat and I post it in there, but you can see in the chat as well at the bottom, can you see it says GIF? Okay, so if you click on GIF at the bottom, um, you'll see all the GIFs that are there, and they're from Giphy. Okay, so it's powered by Giphy. So I'll post a GIF in there. Okay, so, and I'll post that. Can you see? Yeah, it's not the most realistic flames, but that's how GIFs are. Can you see, like, it's slightly grainy, these GIFs? If you just kind of look at the GIFs, they're not perfect. They're not like high resolution images, and that's just the nature of them. So your flames can get away with not being realistic, for example. So if you look at some of these GIFs, some of them are from popular memes, um nostalgic scenes, and it's all about kind of fitting into your emotion and what you're trying to, like you're trying to emphasize
Bilal,
about. Yes.
your flame GIF hasn't posted to the chat.
I haven't posted it yet,
Oh,
that's why.
right. Okay.
Right, so all I'm doing is I'm talking about the GIF in the, if you look on the chat, like let me share my screen so
Yeah,
you can
no, I
see.
see that one. I just thought that you had posted it to the chat.
No, 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 I
Okay.
haven't. I'll post it though. I'll post it now. Just bear with me a second. So I've just posted it now. Okay. See how quickly it appeared, right? Well, actually, it hasn't appeared yet, has it? It's just doing that little. Now it's here. Okay, so it took a few seconds, but you can reduce the size further. So ideally, the size needs to be even smaller so that it appears quickly, right? But the quality of it, it's not too bad. Quality is good. So you can see in a chat like this, imagine you're having a conversation with your customers, right? You could have some gifts created and put into your chat, and some chats allow you to save your gifts, right? So now and then you might want to put a special offer in your chat, right? Just to kind of congratulate somebody. There's purposes for it, okay, with gifts. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys can see the GIF. Let me just stop share for a second and share my full screen. Okay, so now if I go to Zoom, can you see at the bottom here it says Giphy or GIF? And then if you hover over it says Giphy. Can you see on my screen? What I want you to do is click on that, choose a GIF. You can search for a GIF, and I want you to post it into the chat. Okay, just so you know
Sorry,
how
I,
to do that.
I didn't see where that was below. I can't
It's
see your
just
mark.
down here. Can you see it down here
Yeah,
on my
maybe
screen?
I've
It's
just,
still
maybe
showing the Canva screen.
Yeah,
Is it still
we
showing?
can't
That's
see your
strange.
cursor.
Okay, just bear with me 1 second. I'll share it again. I don't know why that is. Let me just share entire screen. Right, can you see my entire screen now? What can you see now? You can see Canvas? You
I
see
can see your
Canva, yeah?
mouse now. I can see your pointer.
You can see that, yeah? Right, if I open up Zoom, can you see yourselves now?
No,
No.
No? Okay, just bear with me. Stop share. For some reason, okay,
I think because the little row of pictures of all of us is pushing your screen
probably.
down.
Probably, I'm not sure. But anyway, we haven't got time to waste looking for the reason for that. But I think Holly's figured it out. So if you go, can you see there's some icons at the bottom of your chat. It's you got the text, you got a little smiley face, and it's the third icon. It says GIF. Should be quite simple to find. Yeah, thank you for that, Holly. So Holly's done a little screenshot to show you. You see it says GIF? Yeah. Just click on that and just find a picture or a GIF and post it into the chat. Is anybody struggling to find that? There we are. You don't have the button. Okay, that's strange. Okay, some of you may not have it then.
I've got text, smiley, file, and
Okay.
screenshot. That's it.
Okay. Well, don't worry too much about it. It's not necessary that you use a GIF here, but it's about understanding what a GIF is and what the purpose is. So you can see people are putting in the chat, they're putting cats, they're putting reindeers and all sorts, right? It's it's a very light-hearted way of communicating in emotion. Okay, um, you need to be just kind of need to understand that there's a time and place for it. It's just like emojis, right? So having a whole session on gifs, I don't think it's worth it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the presentation. Just bear with me a second. The main thing that you need to understand, I think, from this session is about animation, right? So I'm going to go back. Actually, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Just bear with me. Stop share. Present window, this one. Okay. So the main thing I want you to understand is animation, not and just understand what GIFs are used for. But I personally think you're not going to use GIFs a lot in your social media. Um, just now and then in certain places. It's nice to have a few GIFs sitting around that's branded, just in case you need it. If we go back to the presentation, the slide deck, so I've given you a little demo, and we'll come back to it if it's needed. Let's go forward. Okay, let's see. 20 minutes to okay. 20 minutes to explore different elements we've covered and begin creating your own animation. This great activity will help you become familiar with the tools and features. Okay, so what I want you to do is go into Canva. Okay, I want you to go into the animation section. So basically, what you do is you come here into the video editor, which I've posted into the chat. I'll do that again for you. Paste. So I want you to click on that link, okay? And then you'll be able to go into the video editor. So I don't know if you just saw my link there. A few people typed after that. That's the link. Once you're in there, click on edit a video, and that will open your video editor. So it'll give you a blank canvas and a video editor. You're not going into the GIF creator anymore. We've understood what a GIF is. We've done that. We don't need to focus on that too much, right? But what we do need to understand is animations. Okay, so we need a timeline at the bottom, and you're going to get that if you click on that video editor link. So you've got your timeline, you've got a blank canvas, and you've got all of these elements here that you can use to basically drag and drop onto the canvas. Just remember that the background is your first layer, okay? So that could be a photo. So if I go here and type photo, it will bring up photos here somewhere, right? So I can go see all, and I can see all the photos. Now I could, because you're building on layers, right? So my background could be this. Right? So I've selected a photo. So that's now my background. Okay. That's going to be in the background. That does not have to be animated. Anything on top of that could be animated. Now, if I wanted my background to be animated, I could search for a video. Okay. And then all these videos will pop up. So it could be, I don't know, let's see. Sometimes it gives you a mixture, so it's good to come out of it. And you could either click on that just to make sure all of it's videos. Then it'll give you some at the bottom, it gives you the time as well. So make sure that it's under 10 seconds. If it isn't, then you can reduce it. But since we're focused on animation, just think about how you're going to animate on top of that. So that could be the video that I use. I could take the other one away. That could be my background. And if I play that, you'll see that this is how it moves, yeah? So as part of an animation, that as a background could look really cool, depending on what I'm trying to create, right? So if I then add text, so I go to text, I could select text here, and I could put something like, I don't know, Space Academy, and then I could change the color. Okay, so make that white. Okay, and I could expand, make it bigger. I could give it a border. Okay, what would that be? That would be in effects. So go to effects, give it a border, change the border to black. Okay, so it stands out. Now that's great, but it's not really an animation, it's just the video background and text, yeah, which looks pretty cool. But now if you wanted to add elements to it, so go to elements, um, and it could be something like, I don't know, a rocket that we want to add, and we'd have to find the graphics. Okay, so something, because these are all kind of video now. So we have to get out of video. Can you see it says videos? So we're in the video section, so we need to get out of that. So we could go to graphics and then type in rocket. Some rockets will be still, okay, but that's fine. Um, you could take that. But remember, some of them are premium as well. So you will have to avoid the crown image there at the bottom, the little icon, which means it's premium. So if I have an icon like something like that, a rocket, right? I know it doesn't look great, but I'm just demonstrating, okay? So you hold that there, go to animate, okay? And then you could basically have that go in a certain direction. So you could look at all these options. So it could go that way. So, I mean, I don't know if there is one that goes diagonally, but let's see.
Today all the time. Yep.
So it'll be from here. That really doesn't work with the rocket because I think it doesn't give you the option to go in that direction. That's rotate. That's flicker. Yeah, so basically when you're in animate, you can just hover over it and see what works with your animation. It's not the greatest application for animations. Obviously, there's better ones like Adobe After Effects and stuff, but there are some things that just animate it slightly. Direction wise, there's only two directions, up or down, it seems. So it's a bit limited to what it can do. So just be aware of that the animations aren't amazing here, but also for this, let's see, position. Yeah, that's not it. So it's just animation here. I personally would not use something like this because it just makes it look a bit cheap. So these graphics aren't really great. What I would do is go to design and look at the templates that are already animated. So, for example, the easiest, quickest way is doing something like this. So take that away as well. So you're going into the templates and starting off with a template. That looks pretty cool. Let's see that one. Okay. So you start off with a template and then you see what the template does. So this one, it's just a video in the background and the text just pops up. It's not that great. So you'd have to just go through each one and just find a template that actually looks good. That one looks all right. Okay, so this one with the welcome.
Mm-hmm.
You see the welcome coming in there? Yeah. So what you could do with this one, so if I just move that out of the way, if I take this out, that return. So that first one I can have as welcome, and then you can add another one, and you can change the text here. So basically, with each one, I don't know why my computer's kind of getting a bit slow now. Okay, let me take that off.
Akkor lesz, nem láttam, nekem is az volt a bajom. Ja, most a háttér volt.
Okay, so we've got one of them, and then you add another, and then you add another and add another, right? So you've got two or three, but they've all kind of gone on to different. Okay, it's not. These are from another template. So let's take these away. Okay, so you can see all I've done is I've added these four templates, right? So the first one, if I play it from the beginning, it says Actually, I know what I've done. I've taken away the text. So let me start again. Let me take that away. Right, so if I add that one, it's got the text. If I just expand it, it's got the text on that layer and the video there, right? So you'd have to click on the text and change that, okay? If you want to change the text. If I add another one, that's the next one, and that is got just a different text, but the background's different as well, I think. No, the background's the same. This one, background's the same as well. Okay, so you can keep the background the same, and then you have three of them, and then you change the text for each one of them. So it's for this one, it says "Welcome to my channel." That could be your animation. Just keeping it simple like that. You could change the text to say something else, put your logo in there or something. There's lots of templates. Once you put in, like if you're starting to use welcome, there'll be all these other ones that will come up as options as well. Have a go at creating an animation, okay? But when it says animation, to be honest, with Canva, it kind of is quite, it's using animation loosely because it doesn't have the tools to animate the way you can with, say, an animation software application, right? Like 3D Studio Max or Adobe After Effects, that kind of thing. What it does really well with Canva is have lots of templates. Okay, so animation, as in the text coming in, the background being a video, that kind of stuff works. Like if I play this, that works. Okay, my computer's it's dragging it. Okay, so you can see that works, but it's not like animation of a full cartoon, right? You can't do that in Canva that easily. There's other softwares that allow you to do that. So this doesn't allow you to do amazing animations, but there's lots of templates here that allow you to do it with text. If I just go back again, let me see if I can, if I type in Canva animation, free animated video maker, bring your, okay, let's check out that one. Yeah, like I say, it's basically when you're looking at animation, it's talking about just the text coming in, like it can come in, go out in like with it's basically transitions, right? So it is animation, but it's very basic. Okay, it's not like, you know, how the presentation is basically talking about animation in Canva. So what you can do is you can use templates and create something like, for example, mainly it's with the text. Okay, so for example, this one. I mean, that's not even animation, it's a video in the background. So let's go back. For some reason, it's very sluggish. I'm going to close down a few browsers.
Would you export it as a video rather than?
You would export it as a video, yes.
Okay, cool.
If you're creating a GIF, then obviously as a GIF.
Yeah.
But this kind of stuff, I would do it as a video, as an MP4.
Okay.
But like I said, I mean, we've kind of gone through this before in another session. And animation-wise, GIFs aren't that great. It has its purpose, but it's not that great for social media. What I would say is take advantage of the templates, right? And that's all you can do with Canva. Just see what templates they have. They do have a lot of good templates. Like look at this one with nature. Um, but it's basically text on video. That's what it is. But it's just the way they put the video together. Look, just watch this. And I mean, that doesn't even do anything. I mean, the text doesn't do anything. But what you can take from this is the background with the rain and everything, which is a video, and the font they've used. Okay, because whoever's put it together has obviously thought about the type of font they're going to use on that background. So you can just use that and just say, if I wanted to kind of change that and change it to Amazon, it'll still look good. If I have to reduce the size a little bit, okay, it'll look good with that background, right? So that kind of stuff you can do. So you might be creating a post about the Amazon rainforest and you wanted that in your blog. I mean, that would work. But that animation there where it kind of jumped in is not great. So you might want to change that. So you click on this, you go to animate, and instead of rising, you could fade. Okay, so if you fade it in, then if you click on that, if you reduce the speed of that fade, so go back to that text, animate, speed, reduce the speed, so you can actually see the animation. And I say animation loosely, it's just a transition. Okay, just click on that again. Slightly better. I think my Canva's lagging a bit, so you can't really see it in real time at the moment. It is fading in, but the fade is a bit okay. But anyway, I think you know how to get the layers, and because we covered it before, so I'm sure you can play around with it a little bit. Play around with the template, see what you come up with. Create a MP4. You can also create a GIF. Okay, I'll give you that option as well if you want to create a GIF. Spend the next 15 minutes just to kind of go through the templates, see if you can create something that is useful for you. But like I say, even though it says animation, using Canva for animation, I personally think Canva's okay for when you're talking about animation, it's really transitions. It's really using video that is moving images and just using transitions. So it's about layering a video, a text on a video, having the video play, but your text is transitioning in and out, that kind of stuff. That's basically animation in Canva. Okay. So it's not like you're animating a cartoon, you're moving arms and eyes, making them blink. You can't do that with Canva. Okay. So you just need to understand that. So is everybody clear? We're just basically playing around with the template, seeing if we can come up with something for your brand. You might want to put your logo in there. How you would do that, you just go to upload, find your logo. So I've uploaded my logo. You would do just upload, find your logo, and just add it. Then to add your logo, you just click on the logo. That would just come in. And then you can use that as a background. Like in this case, it doesn't look that bad, but you can have the logo there like this. Look, it's actually gone into the background. So I have to take it away. Um, you might have to. My canvas gone so slow. Okay. Yeah, it needs to come in as an element, but at the moment it's hitting the background. So I should be able to drag it there. Yeah. So if you drag it, if you don't want it to take over the background, you need to drag it into the scene, and then you can reduce it by holding down the left mouse button and dragging it down from the edges, and you can put it like where it kind of fits. I mean, it doesn't look good here, but you know what I mean. So you can add the logo to your image as well. My Canva's gone really slow, so I'm going to just shut that down for now. Okay, so I'll give you 15 to 20 minutes to just play around with Canva, play around with the templates, think about your brand, think about your brand colors, the logos, just create something that looks good to promote maybe a product or just kind of talk about something, something that you can share, you can use, you can save, okay? And then share it into the chat.
Miło cię, odpowiedzieć do niamba.
Okay, so this is CapCut. So I've downloaded it. And then basically with CapCut, it's the same thing as Canva where you've got a timeline. Okay, so you've got a timeline here. And if you go up to templates, all these templates will come up. There's loads of templates, and I think they always upload more templates, and they're all relevant to kind of it's basically templates that a lot of YouTubers, TikTokers use. So, for example, you could use something like this, and it puts some music in the background as well. So I can drag that down here into the timeline. So you just drag it down to the timeline, and then you can play it and see what it is. Let's see. So that starts off with a Google search and some text that you can customize. So you could put your website address in there and then show different things about your website. So you just replace the slides, the images, basically. So the way you would do that is you go here, you would change this text to your website. And then if you play it, it'll play with your website address. So if it goes off the search, you can just kind of drag it so it's sitting in the right place. Okay, so if you start again, you might want to get rid of the www dot because it's too long, like that. Maybe it needs to come down a little bit. So you can use your, oops, go back in. Okay, just put it there. So it'll do that. Then you can change these by clicking onto them and just kind of replacing them. So you'd import media. So you go to media, import. You can click here, and then it will open your desktop. So you can go to your desktop. You can import in images, and then basically replace the images that are there. So have a go at CapCut. There's lots of things that you can add. You can add filters. Got all these different filters that you can add. You've got captions. Okay, so it's more sophisticated, but obviously it will require you to kind of play around with it and get used to it. But all the things that you've seen in Canva, they're here as well. You've got the effects, you've got the stickers here, lots of stickers, filters. You can adjust, have a custom adjustment, templates. You've got AI avatars as well. So you've got different avatars that you can use. So people that are basically avatars, you can have them. I don't know if you want to use AI avatars because it's obvious that they're AI, but definitely the templates are much better than the Canva ones, I think. So do have a look at Canva at some point and see if you can. The timeline is the same, so it's basically it's slightly different in the sense that the layers are all it's basically all in one. So you can see the templates there, but you're clicking into the timeline, and then when you click into the timeline, your different images are here. So all the images, if you clicked into it, all the images are here. So you can replace them by just hovering over it. Says replace. If you click on it, it will open up this window where you can basically find the image that you want to replace it with, and just put it in there. So if I just click on that image, it'll just drop into there, but it will use the same effects that are in that template. So if I go back, you can see here. Obviously that wasn't a good image, but you can replace images. You understand how to do that. You just click into the image area, all the images will pop up, and you just click on this icon to replace. So you can customize. If you wanted to get rid of that whole template, just basically select it by left click and drag and press delete, and it will disappear, and you can add a different template. Say you want to add that one. So you can click on it to see what it is like without actually putting it onto your timeline. If you just click on it, it will just and just play it here so you can see what it is. So if you like it, then you just drag it down. Once you've dragged it down, you play it. Once you see the text that you want to customize, you click on that. If you click on to say, let me see how you do this one. Okay, so this one is slightly different. So this text, can you see here, you've got the text here. Okay, so you can put the text here. So let's just play that again, see how it works. So if I type here, okay, there's some text here as well. It starts after. So this text at the end, this is what this is. So you can basically customize that text here. This text, I'm not sure if you can customize. Let me just see. No, let me see. Yeah, that text you can't, I don't think. It's just the text at the end that is customizable. It seems like it. Again, if you want to get rid of it, just click on it and delete, and then you can add another one. Yeah, just play around with the templates, and then the templates are categorized down here, so you can go down and see which templates you want to use. So if you're in fashion and beauty, if you click on beauty, you'll get lots of templates around that. You can get rid of this. And maybe I want to use that one. Okay, so I like that one. I want to put that one in there. If I play it, so it's the effects that you're using. So if you click on it, you've got 5 different images that you can replace. So if you put your product images in there by replacing these images, you'll still have the effects. So the effects will be there. So that text will be there, and you can change the text here. So that first text is on the top here, so you can change that. You can put something else there, your brand name here. So it could be, I don't know, it could be, what could it be? Your brand name. It could be, I don't know. I'm just going to put rows. Okay. So if I just change that text, play it again. Yep. And then just have to kind of move them around a little bit as well, if they're kind of overlapping. And remember they're in layers, so if you want to change that, you click on that and you change the text here. Okay. But it's just about playing around with them and just seeing if you can do something with it. So that text you can change, that text you can change, and it appears here. And you can increase the font size by clicking on that or dragging it. You can put your website address there. So CapCut's pretty good. I think it's better than Canva when it comes to animated um, content. Okay. So obviously you would have to get your footage, but it's about using a lot of it, like for example, the way that cuts from one scene to another, you can learn from it. So for example, that one, if I get rid of this, use that one down here. Basically, there's 8 clips there, or different videos. So you've got one video, two video. So each one of them you can basically change, right? So once you've changed that, you can keep the music if you want. Um, a lot of this music is they've got the license for it, so you can use it again and again. But also you can change the text and everything, just replace it, make it your own basically. So if you're doing one around sports, again, there's templates around sports. Okay, so there's loads of templates here. So definitely I recommend downloading CapCut and start using that for animations because I think quality wise, um, they're a lot better. Obviously, you'd have to add your own footage, but it's about the transitions, the text, everything else. Just gives you that additional um, tools. And there's a lot of things here that are similar to CapCut. Where, like, for example, if you're trying to split the video, you just click on this and it will split it. This one will preview the axis. So if I click on that, it's not going to do anything on this one. There's various things that you can do. Again, lots of tutorials online. They've also got, I think they've got their own kind of academy as well where you can learn. Their stickers. Stickers are stickers. I mean, they're not going to be amazing. I would avoid using too many stickers. Maybe something like subscribe. You can use maybe an arrow, something like a circle if you want to highlight something, things like that. But this kind of stickers I wouldn't really bother with. But there may be a reason why you want to use that. You've got transitions. So if you want to transition from one scene to another, you've got different transitions. If you hover over them, it'll show you what it does, how it transitions. But again, with transitions, don't go crazy. Pull in, pull out is good. Swiping, they're good. Especially with images, like if you're trying to show like a slideshow, they're pretty good. Okay, so that's CapCut. And there's another one called Jitter. Jitter's, I've looked at it, on the free version, it doesn't really have a lot of templates. So I would say CapCut is probably the best, Canva's probably second. Okay, so let's have a look at what you've all posted. Okay, I'm just gonna have to download them to see. So let's get back to the presentation and carry on. So on Canva, you've got the projects tab. Okay, so the projects tab is where all your saved designs are stored. It's strongly recommended that you save your work regularly to lose progress. Now, Canva itself, it basically saves automatically, right? You don't have to click save as or anything like that. What I've seen is it once you've got an account, once you've worked on something, it saves it in the project automatically, all right? But if you're using any other software, just make sure that you're saving your project, okay? Copyright and fair usage. Canva provides images, videos, graphics, fonts, audio, and templates for users to include in their design. These items are licensed for you to use under Canva's terms, but you do not own them. You can use them in your content as long as you follow Canva's license rules. So if you want, you can go into the license and see what restrictions they have. But in general, you can use them for social media, but you can't say that you own that content. So you can't sell it as another like a part of another template that you've created, basically. You can't monetize the actual content in that way. But if that content has those images or transitions or something around the templates and you're basically promoting something with it and you're making money from your product, that's fine. But you can't sell it as like your image. So Canva's licensing rule. If an asset is marked as free, you can use it for both personal and commercial projects at no extra cost. Okay. So what is allowed is social media posts, advertising and marketing material, videos and animation, educational content, printed products, posters, leaflets, all that is allowed, which is covering most of what we would need to do. However, what's not allowed is basically selling the asset standalone. So if you got a template image onto your timeline and then try to export just that image, it won't let you. It has to be a part of something else, right? So because if you're exporting just that image, it means like, it's like why are you exporting one image? It won't allow you to do that. Obviously, there's ways around it. You can screenshot and stuff like that, but you can't sell that as an asset, as a photo that you've taken or something. Selling photos on its own is not allowed. Claiming the asset is your own original work, not allowed. Redistributing Canva's assets outside of your design, not allowed. Okay, so I think that makes sense. Templates have restrictions too. So if you're using a template, you can sell final products created from the template, like posters, planners, marketing graphics, and such. Edit, personalize, and brand the templates. You can do that for your business. You cannot sell the template. You can't resell Canva templates on a website, in a marketplace or anything. You can't repackage or distribute Canva templates as your own. So, like for example, if I created a course on digital marketing and I'm providing resources, I can't have loads of templates in there that I've used Canva for and provide them as part of my product, okay, like an upsell or something like that, which makes sense. Templates are pre-designed layouts that you can use as the foundation of your animation. Canva will display your recently used templates first, followed by the full selection of available options. Above the template thumbnails, you will find a range of categories that will help you browse, filter the content easily. So we've seen that you can browse the templates, put in different like industries and such, like health, for example, and it'll bring the health templates up. Each template may include multiple frames, elements, and design features, all of which can be adjusted, removed, and customized. And we've seen that as well. Remember, it's similar rules for any other platform. So CapCut as well. Like you don't own the templates yourself. You don't own the images. You can't sell them, but you can use it for business, for personal use, right? So even though we're talking about Canva, it applies across various software applications. Best practice, Creating quality content takes time and creativity. Start by sourcing or creating the elements you need and organize them into folders in Canva for easy access. The final design is only as strong as the components you use, so make sure any external assets are high quality and suitable for your brand. Just like some of you have been using your own content and it looks amazing, is because the effort has gone into the content. Okay. So if you've created really high quality content and then you bring in that content in as assets into Canva, it's going to make it look amazing. By using content on Canva, it's just basically you might not even be relevant for your business. But then again, having said that, we've seen in Canva many templates that have beautiful images, beautiful videos that we can use for our end product. Okay, so our end media that we're going to post on social. So the only thing is like somebody else may use the same image, so it's not exclusive, it's not unique. So having your own footage, your own videos is great, but however, if you're starting out brand new, then take advantage of the template images and videos. But at some point, think about creating your own images, your own videos, because that's asset. That's something that you own, and there's no restriction about it as well. Tips for creation, having a clear idea of what you want to create. We've covered that. Begin with the bottom layer, which is usually the background, which I've mentioned. So start with the bottom layer, the layer at the back. That's your main image that you're going to build up towards, build up upwards. So it's like it's the first foundation layer, and then you're putting all the other layers in, adding and adjusting each element one at a time. Preview your work regularly to ensure that the transitions are smooth, elements work together, the size remains consistent and appropriate. So things like white spaces and stuff that we've seen that happens sometimes. If you're not careful, you might export something and there's a little gap there, and it's gonna go white because the canvas is white. It could be that the text isn't readable, could be the images are not aligned, something could be wrong. So it's important to review your content, you review what you've created, because there's different parts of the video on the timeline, right? The text, the video, the audio, they're all set in different places. It's easy to kind of just um, you know, misplace something or put something in a different area. So do watch it first, see how it looks, play it a couple of times, and then export. Things to avoid using watermarked images. So remember that some platforms, you might get a watermark on it, which means like it's like um a faded branding of the platform that you've used. So if it says Canva on it, it'll be like in a like kind of a light text over your images. So it's branded as Canva's property basically. And then if you're using that on social media, it just doesn't look professional because you still got the watermark on it. And obviously, you might have to upgrade or purchase a license or something to get rid of that. Don't make your content too fast. Viewers need time to enjoy and understand your animation. If it moves too quickly, your message may be lost. Okay, so watch it, see if it makes sense to you. If things are moving smoothly, then think about, exporting. Be mindful of color choices. Certain tones or shades can be difficult to see, causing text or images to disappear. Remember that not everyone uses the same screen resolution, so your content may appear differently across devices. So that's another point to take into consideration. Check the content on different devices to see how it looks. So mobile, tablet, and a desktop, just to kind of see if the text is too small, or if the colors aren't, like if there's not a good contrast. Um, like for example, how I changed Space Academy, how I gave it a border, a black border, that kind of made it stand out. So you may have to do something like that. So further elements to consider: layout. Okay, so whether you're creating a GIF with a background or using a transparent canvas, it's important to ensure that every element is well balanced, clearly visible, and functioning as intended. So images displayed across devices or platforms, whether any borders or edges might be cut off from the design, which elements draw the viewer's eyes first, and whether it aligns with the intended message. Just kind of basically just looking at your content that you've created to make sure there's nothing that's a bit out of place. Timing, achieving the right timing balance can take practice. You may need to experiment with different speeds for individual frames and make adjustments as you refine your project. For more advanced editing, you can click and drag the time bar on each frame thumbnail to control its duration. So we looked at, the timeline, how we can drag and fill up the seconds. It's about 10 seconds for these short videos, but you can make it longer, you can duplicate it. We had a look at that. The main thing that you got to think about here is, how long are you going to grab somebody's attention for? If you're creating a video for social media, I would say put it in a loop. So it's like a 10-second video that plays again and again. A lot of platforms will play that again and again automatically. If it doesn't, say you're posting on TikTok and it wouldn't play it, well, TikTok does. TikTok plays the same video again and again. If you just leave it on a video, it'll just keep on looping. But say a platform doesn't do that, then in that case, you would have to duplicate the same video on your timeline and then export it. In that way, you're basically putting it in a loop before you export. Okay. But ideally, it should be a short video, clear message, and then when you export that video with the transitions, with the music in the background and everything, even if it loops, it's not annoying. It should kind of go in a smooth way, like from start to finish. It's like sometimes what you'll see in videos is they start off with a sentence and then end in such a way that the original sentence that they started off with works as an ending as well. So the loop is almost like you can't tell it's a loop, but you probably watch it 2 or 3 times before you realize you're in a loop. I don't know if you came across any videos like that where the first sentence actually works as the last sentence as well. Has anybody come across it? Do you know what I'm talking about? Has anybody experienced that? A video where the first sentence is also the last sentence. So what they do is they start off with saying something, but at the end of the video they don't use that sentence. But when it loops to the first sentence, it makes sense. It's hard to give you an example. Doesn't it ring bells for anybody? Like where you've watched a video, it's in a loop.
Yeah, it's
You know
it's
what I'm
quite
talking
common
about,
now,
Ollie?
I think.
Yeah, it is quite common. But is there a term for it or anything, Holly? Do you know?
Not that I know.
No.
It's
But you
just,
know what I'm talking about,
yeah,
yeah?
definitely.
Yeah. I've seen quite a lot of them, and it's been a while, they've been around, but I think they're really effective. Um, for the trained eye, somebody who's been watching these videos many times, obviously, it's been around for a long time, but they are quite effective in when it loops, it doesn't feel like a loop. You can watch it
When
another
they get
couple
the
of times.
timing right, it's very effective.
Yeah, it's about the timing, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, if I come across any of those videos, I'll save it, I'll bookmark it, and I'll show it to you. But it's been around for a while, that method. So that's timing, and then image and video selection. So choose your images and videos content carefully, ensuring they are relevant to your message, aligned with your brand, consistent with your overall branding. Always check that you have the correct rights and permissions for using the content. Okay, so if you're getting something off Google Images, you may not have rights to use that image. You could get away with it at the beginning, but if your brand blows up or you're getting really popular, it's getting a lot of attention, and somebody notices that that image is theirs, or they have the rights over it, they could take legal action if they think they're gonna get some money out of it. Okay, so if you're creating it for your brand, obviously you need to care about that. So I would say make sure that you have the permissions when you're using any content, and try to think about creating your own content as well. Overlaying text. So we've seen many examples where the text is over the image and videos. with so many customization options available, you can decide how and when your text appears, whether it fades in, remains static, changes size, animation plays. Sometimes it can get really annoying if you're using some transition and it's like your text is bouncing all over the place. That's why it's important to consider using templates, because whoever created the templates, they thought about the design and it saves you time. So keeping those transitions in and just changing the text works better than you having to think about how this transition is going to take place. Unless you're very clear and you're really, you're good at, designing templates and or designing these animations, then that's fine. But a lot of these templates have it covered anyway. So just consider the text, because you don't want it to be bouncing up and down and all over the place, because it just makes it look cheap, or you don't have the skills to do animation. Adding extra elements. So you need to keep an eye on critical eye when making your editing choices. Creating animated content can be fun and very useful, but if you try to include too much or make your GIF do everything all at once, it will quickly be cluttered and confusing. So yeah, so don't get too excited and start putting all the different transitions in, have lots of text everywhere. It just gets a bit crowded, and it can actually work against your brand. So think about clean clean, very tidy content, straight to the point, minimal transitions. Basically, use the templates. It's a lot better. Sources for additional content. So there's quite a lot of links there. I've shared them before, where you can get free images, free videos, things like that. But again, they will have sections where they're premium. Shutterstock is good for images, but it's quite expensive. Uh, Pixabay is quite good for free content, free images, but I find Pixabay's images to be a bit boring. Some of them anyway. Like you may be lucky to find a really amazing image. A lot of the images, high quality images that you get within Canva or within CapCut will do. But it could be that you're looking for something specific, right? Remember, you can generate your own image through AI as well. So you can use in Can in sorry in Chat GPT on the left hand side, you'll see it says Sora. So you can use Sora to generate images. Chat GPT also does that, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The main thing, I mean, one thing you can do with ChatGPT or any animation AI software is give it a reference image to work with. So if you give it an image and say, I want to create an image similar to this, but then give it instructions to create something that you want, it will use that as a like a context, like to refer to and create something similar. And that will be your own. Okay. You will have rights over that because you created it. As long as it looks, it doesn't look too similar to the original. Okay, just to give it context, just to give it an understanding of what you want to create. So let's just quickly, one second. Okay, I'll go to AI software in a second. Let me just get through this presentation and see what else we need to cover from here. Okay, so audio. Obviously, if you're using CapCut, there's audio in there. You can use that audio that's there for your content. As with the images and video content, you should have the correct licenses and permissions to use that content. Be mindful of that. But with CapCut, I've found that a lot of the audio you can actually use. Again, with TikTok, there's audio that you can use, but with Canva, there's not, the audio is there, but it's not great. Just think about the quality of audio and what it sounds like to you, and does it go with your content as well? Logos, watermarks, branding. Watermark is a subtle mark added to an image or animation that typically includes the creator or company name, copyright information, and the year it was produced. You may also choose to include your logo, either subtle logo. Basically, what it's saying here is when you create content, you might want to brand your content, okay, so that it can't be used by someone else, all right? The way you would do that is you can add watermark, and you can also add a logo. Okay, so for example, on this presentation, you've got the logo at the top here. Okay, so if you're doing it like a presentation, you can always add a logo. If you want to add a watermark in Canva, if I go to Canva, and if we just kind of start, say we did a poster, say that was our poster, yeah, we use that template. Okay, so this is my poster, and now I want to watermark it, yeah? So how do I do that? So basically, I would upload my logo. So you get your logo, you drag it onto here, and say this was like a demo, and I didn't want somebody to copy it. Watermarking it, basically transparency up here, and lower the transparency. Okay, so it's like very subtle in there. And then you could put that just here somewhere, basically it's a watermark, somewhere like here in her face. So what that does, it's basically your work. Now, why would you do that? If you're sharing it with somebody just to show the design, but you don't want them to use it, because obviously you're going to export this as an image, so you're kind of demoing it, then you would watermark it. So I would put it somewhere like here. Okay. So even if they try to use it, it's clearly my work, you know. I've got my logo on it. It doesn't interfere too much with the design. They can still see it and understand what I'm talking about when it comes to the design of it. Obviously, I'm going to remove the watermark. So it could be a client. Okay, so you've created something for a client, created a poster for a client. Now you're showing it to them before they've actually paid for it, and what you've done is you put the watermark in there, and now you've shown it, and you've said, okay, once the payment's been made, the watermark will be taken away. So they'll pay you. They're happy with it. You take that away, just that layer. Okay. So that's a watermark, and you can do that with a logo. You could put other text here. You can even write something, so you can take that away and say text. Um, and then with the text, say if I wrote something like demo purpose only, right? And then if I increase the size of that to about that size, make it bold, and then I would do it like this. Yeah, probably make it a little bit bigger. You can even go into a different line like this, make it a little bit bigger, like that. Then go to the the transparency, just take that down a bit, like that. Okay, and then move that down here, somewhere like that. Okay, so now you can share it, and obviously they can't use it because it says demo purpose only, but it's not interfering with the design. They can still appreciate what you've created. Yeah, so that's watermark. Okay, let's go back. Right, so I've got 10 minutes left. I'm just gonna go here. Reviewing the quality of animations. To review the quality of your digital graphics and animation, you should assess them against the original brief, guidelines, and the goals. Making sure that you've met all the criterias, alignment with the brief and objectives, brand consistency, technical quality, visual balance and composition, accessibility and readability, copyright and permissions, and overall impact. So basically, your brand guidelines, if you're setting brand guidelines on certain colors that you can use, that you need to stick with. Why are you creating the social media content in the first place? That you need to obviously think about. You can't just kind of start getting creative and you know, get distracted and create something totally different to what is needed. Because how, if as a designer or as somebody within a team that is given that responsibility to create social media content, somebody in the team may tell you that, hey, we need a social media post for Instagram that explains to people what we're going to do at an event, okay, on Saturday. So that is your brief, that you're creating a post on social media, on Instagram specifically, and it should give people an experience of what the event's about. So that could be a slideshow of images like transitioning from one to another with a bit of music and some text popping up with images of the event last year, and basically giving them a feel of what they can expect this Saturday, right? So, and you put some nice music in there, and then it's really quick, snappy images, and ideal for Instagram. So you know what the brief was and you know what you're creating. Now, if you start creating and then you get carried away with different templates, you might end up using a template that doesn't really suit what it's for. So what you would do is in Canva or in CapCut, you would type in events and see if there's any templates around events. So you're always kind of keeping aligned with the actual brief, the objective. Brand consistency, we understand. Technical quality, basically it's the visuals, it's the quality of the file. Like if it's you can upload it onto Instagram and it's fine. If it's too big, obviously there'll be issue. You've got to think about the resolution, also the size of the video. Again, if you're using templates for Instagram, then you don't have to think that deep. Visual balance, composition, the colors that you're using, are they, when you're transitioning from one picture to another, is it blending in? Is it actually working? Or is it suddenly unexpected is it harsh on the eyes? Like sometimes if you use bright colors and then use black and white colors on another photo, it's not going to work, right? So does it flow? That visual balance, is it there? Accessibility and readability, can people read it on the screen? Like if you're putting text on there, is it readable? Copyright and permissions we've covered, and overall impact, like at the end of watching that video, do people want to go to that event, right? So you might give it to somebody else and say, hey, can you just watch this video and see and tell me how you feel after watching it? So they may say, I felt really excited about this event. I feel like actually going. Exactly, that's what you wanted, right? So you've got what you want. If they actually watch and say, well, I watched it, but it seemed quite boring. I mean, the impression I got was it's like it's not my kind of thing. It'll be a waste of time. The images look a bit poor quality. Maybe the event's not going to be of a high budget. That's the feeling I got. Then obviously you need to think, okay, is that what we want to give? The message we want to give? No, we want to make people feel excited. The excitement isn't coming when I give it to people, they're not feeling it. So I need to change something. And you might even take suggestions from people. So that feedback is important as well. Right, so we've only got 5 minutes, and let's see, we've got a task here. Create an animated element for your business that fully aligns with your brand guidelines. Consider your color palette, tone, typography. Yeah, so I personally think, look, you guys have all, worked on an animation, you've looked at different templates. What I would do is just kind of consider your brand, think about the type of content you're going to create, play around with Canva. There's no right and wrong, but you can always share in the chat what you've created. Even if it's another session, I don't mind you sharing it and say, this is my animation that I was working on yesterday or the day before in another session. I just wanted some feedback if anyone's got a moment. I don't mind you doing that in another session, right? So what I would recommend is download CapCut, play around with the templates on CapCut, watch a couple of videos on YouTube about how to use CapCut and start learning. It's not gonna happen overnight. I've even downloaded CapCut and I haven't used it much, but I'm getting to that point now with my videos, which is basically just face to camera, that I want to get a bit more creative, maybe on looking at transitions and things like that, just in case I go to an event, a tech event somewhere, I want to create a video that is kind of doing transitions between different scenes and stuff. I want to learn, plus I want to teach you guys, right? So on Canva, there's lots to learn. The only way it's going to happen is if you spend time on it and you kind of make mistakes and ask people for feedback and watch some videos on YouTube or TikTok and then think, how do I make this? Watch some tutorials. It's about experiencing that kind of journey, right? So you have to want to learn about using these templates. Otherwise, you're not gonna improve the quality of it. Lee?
When I was creating my little GIF,
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to do was layer my logo over the animated background.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't figure out how to do it. I managed to sort of animate in the text boxes, but then when I
Okay.
added my logo, it just sort of attached as a picture at the end.
Right. Okay. So basically you have to drag it in and sometimes it just attaches it to the background
Yeah.
if you're not careful, right? So I know what you mean. So if I go into any template, right? It's the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's a GIF or a poster or whatever. If I wanted to put my logo in there, okay, like you did, um, I would go to the logo. Now if I clicked on it, it will put it into it. But some of them it will be, if it's layered, like this is just one. Okay. If it was a layer, so if I wanted to go through creating a video, then it will give me the timeline. Okay. So now it's got a timeline, right? Now if there's different layers, sometimes what it does, it attaches it to a layer. Okay, so if I now tried to get my logo in there.
Yeah, so I dragged it into a separate layer. I wonder whether it's because I didn't have the transparent background and it.
It could be. I mean, you'd have to play around with it. I can't see what you've done, but sometimes it basically attaches it to the background and sometimes it doesn't. You just have to drag it down like that before it attaches itself. See, my canvas playing up again, but before it attaches itself, just drop it anywhere, and then you might have to use your keys on your keyboard to just kind of move it across to the right place.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try.
That
I'll try a bit more. I couldn't
Yeah,
get it to
that's if
cooperate.
I'm understanding you correctly. But if there's something else, then obviously, without me seeing it, I don't understand
Yeah,
what the
I'll keep
problem is.
trying. It sort of it just stuck itself onto the end of the background.
Yeah,
Um, but
delete it and just try to drag it in.
yeah.
Is that what it's doing? Can you see there what it did there? Um,
Um, no, I didn't drag it. I didn't drag it in, so I'll try that.
okay, try
I
dragging it in.
I think I
See
clicked
when
on it and it just sort of sewed itself onto the back of the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. Even if you click on it, if it showed itself like this, what you're seeing here, like to the background like this, if you're trying to
Yeah, I
avoid
can't see the
that.
bottom of your screen, but I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's basically you want to, instead of doing that, you want to just place it here somewhere. So
yeah.
sometimes it's not easy. It's just one of those things that I've struggled with as well. You just have to
Okay.
make sure that it just can. I think what you can do is make sure that it's on a different layer when you're dragging it over. If
Yeah, I
you
did that. It still didn't like it, but I
Okay,
don't think I
have a play
dragged it. I
around.
think I just double clicked it and it just jumped into the
Okay,
thing.
all
Thanks.
right. So let me get this presentation to you guys. Just bear with me a second. Um, down Canva. Um, can you see, can you all see that? I don't know. Yes, you can. Okay, so it's basically Unit 7, Question 2, Question 6, 7, and 8. And that is if you're doing the diploma, you would have to answer these questions. If you want, you can still go and answer them just for as an exercise. It may help you in some way, but it's not going to be assessed, okay? But the content, whatever you've learned here, is valid for what you've got to do in other units, if that makes sense.